All right, once again, I'm Archfield. Once again, Amanda's with me. Hello, Mand.
Hello, Archfield.
We're going to take a look at this first race. This is Wraithchild versus Surf and Turf, the top two spots in round one. We've not really talked about this much yet, and we kind of can as we get going here. I'm going to, first of all, get our race started. We do not have game audio for this one, just for the record, which is not a big deal, but that means the music that is currently playing will continue to play throughout here. Round one flags. Why don't we talk about this a little bit while our racers get ready to go?
Yeah, so round one is called The Usual. It's very close to the Co-op Seed of the Week general flag set that's been used for years at this point, I think. The additions are that while treasure guards are on, unguarded overworld search spot is on from the Zhu flag set, along with corrected hints from that as well. So basically, as we'll see very soon coming up, because we have a turn already, so we're going to be getting into this chest situation. The chest locations are randomized. In addition to that, treasure guards are on, but they will not be on the overworld search spot, so you can't get a cheeky random find. Experience is normal, but functionally isn't because you have two racers sharing experience. And as well as that, what am I forgetting, Archfield?
I don't know. It seems like it mostly covers it. We can talk about stuff as it comes up.
Yeah, so the return here, pretty useful. If there's gold in the throne room, you can also keep your keys. So there's a lot of ways you can keep keys in this flag set. In this case, because there's two of them, one managed to return, and now they have a gold grind because the other one just managed to use the extra key. Which is what Wraithchild on the left is doing. Meanwhile, Surf and Turf on the right deciding to just keep both the keys and go out for a grind immediately, and gotten some good experience already.
Yeah, the starting zones here are not bad, and it does go pretty quickly. As you mentioned, we are on normal experience values, the thresholds, but because you've got two people, if you're both grinding at the same time, it actually just kind of makes things zoom a little bit more than you might be used to even.
That does remind me, seeing some of these experience values, of the one thing I forgot, which is random consistent XP gold is on. Speaking of gold, Metal Dream losing their gold grind and regaining it because a Red Dragon type Metal Dream.
Yes, Red Dragon there in the southwest diagonal, and as you can see, the runners, I don't know if we've seen quite to the extent of the boundaries here, but it looks like we have a decent hard edge of the map on the east coast here. Have we seen any further north of this yet, is the question.
Don't believe so. I remember the seed vaguely, but I don't think we're going to spoil too much.
Yeah,
but we definitely looks like we're on the east zone of the map, and potentially they're the north zone, because it looked like that's a hard edge there on Metal Dream's strict side.
Yes, so if that is indeed the case, then that southwest diagonal where the Red Dragon lives, you want to try to do your best to stay out of that if you can, because that's not exactly great. But here
the only
it looks
downside,
like level 3 for Wraithchild now.
Only downside to that is you do have to go through some swamp, but level 4 does provide, or level 3 or 4, I'm not sure, does provide healing, so that'll help out.
Yeah, it looks like level 4 for that heal spell, and that will help out a bit, certainly. Right now, the main differentiating thing, Slamu and Nim at 5. That's 4727, at least on Slamu's build, and we'll see when the stats come back up here in a moment. Both Nim and Slimu running the lowercase s, which to my recollection is HBMP. Yes, that's right. And you see actually Metal Dream and Dragolf running exactly opposite builds. Metal Dream is on that uppercase W, which is Agility MP, and Dragolf running the Strength HP build on the lowercase d.
Yeah, I find one thing that can often be useful is going opposite builds, but there is a lot of advantage to having 2 players on that HBMP build.
Yeah. This is one of those odd seeds where that could have backfired, because they did start with, on the MP build, 6 MP, and they started with Return. So if those wings hadn't been in the throne room, that kind of creates a weird dynamic sometimes, but that's kind of an extraordinary outlier sort of situation that might happen.
Yeah, they do have the advantage, though, that both of them have... I don't think it's quite ticked over, so I think both of them currently have slightly higher strength. Or no, has ticked over. But for a while there, they did have slightly higher strength, which potentially helped them get out to this experience state. Obviously, they were grinding a bit faster as well, but certainly early on, especially knowing Magic Wyverns have... Magic Drakes have...
Nim was in jail there for a while.
A little bit, yeah.
See, these Magidrakes are one of the enemies here in Zone 0. They're only worth 7, and they do have weak breath, so they're a bit of a nuisance. There's not a whole lot of value here in the starting zones. There's a lot that's still too dangerous on these current stats. Even with the heal spell, there's not a lot of MP either. Now you see Slimu here trying to take on a Warlock.
Warlock's probably the best enemy we've seen, but also, even with that heal spell, the odds that you have some bad luck and maybe don't beat it are there, because you're only dealing about 3 damage a pop.
I will say, Nim checks the basement. Was that our first look at that staff cave down there?
Yes, I do believe it was, but I'm not entirely certain.
That Warlock is worth 24. Slimu's going to pick up level 6 right here. I think, was that 35 power?
It was indeed 35 power.
35 power? Okay. Well.
Enemy worth more in strength gain than it was in experience.
I guess it was. It was just about an Erdrick sword worth of attack power on level 6. So as you see there, Dragolf, the only one of our runners on a strength build, currently on 64. Everybody else has 60 on level 6. So the levels are not quite all square, still about 50 points separating the 2 teams, but with that double kill right there, it looks like Wraithchild will be perhaps drawing even on experience soon.
And we do have an AK-47 also potentially in that diagonal. Did have stop spell, and Nim manages to get away from it. Also sees a Star Ribbon there, so a lot of Sharlock enemies sitting right outside.
Yeah, not great if that's a choke point. It's hard to see if we haven't really been able to tell yet if there's a way to kind of avoid that zone by staying a little further north.
I don't want to jinx it. It's gone down by half already just now, but I don't think Wraithchild's money is surviving much longer. And
no, I think, that Metal Dream took a death on purpose there. I think they decided they were just going to fade that gold, and he just walked into the swamp to finish off his next couple of hit points worth of life and continue looking here. Now this is interesting because there are 5 chests in this treasury. We see Dragolf going after, with that big strength gain, there was this Wyvern treasure guard in the Tangential treasury. Probably beatable unless it's got hurt more. That said,
they do have stop spell. Spell maybe just helped Nim beat a Wraith Knight. I didn't see if he took it out, but certainly very helpful against this Wyvern fight as well.
Yeah, really just need to get one stop spell and then you would expect... really just need to get one hurt more while it's stop spelled and then you would expect to win this fight.
Can also just stall out with a heal spell as well if need be, but not actually required this time, and that will reward them with sword.
Yes, which while I was not looking away, it appears as though maybe Nim and Slimu also got the sword. So That sword, early sword in the treasury, if you know you can get through that wyvern, that's certainly a big help. And now it looks like we're in kind of a major explore mode here.
Yeah. Sword plus the fact that you gain basically a sword from a level. At this point, they're at 104 or 100. That's enough where you can't afford to not find something better to kill.
Right.
You
Yeah,
can one-shot a lot of good enemies with that.
Yes, exactly. When I say explore, that's really, I guess, what I'm getting at is once you get the sword in this situation, you really just want to find better stuff to kill. Because as we've said, this is a pretty lackluster couple of starting zones. And this zone to the northwest here, I believe the northwest diagonal, we've seen Metal Dream and Dragolf here. That Hurtmore Wyvern is there, so if you stop spell that, it's a free kill. You've got a couple of other monsters here. I believe there might have been a blue dragon with Hurtmore here too. That's
who had Hurtmore.
Yeah. But really at this point, Metal Dream actually just hacking through that Wyvern. It's cast Hurtmore once, but he's just going to tank that and heal afterward.
Meanwhile, the first town spotted, Nim makes it into Breckenary and will actually be doing a check of NPCs for the hints.
Yeah, so there we've got one of the corrected hints. It's telling us Garenham to the west, which I think geographically almost had to be the case because of where Nim is right now.
Yeah, I will note...
Charlock also to the west, so good job with that, compass folks.
I will note, in relation to that, it does only do a single cardinal direction. So,
right.
In this situation, it's not quite as helpful as it could be. Really, if Charlock is like southwest, but it's one tile more west than it is south, it's just going to say west. So, it can be a little bit deceptive sometimes.
Which direction is this most? And it could be, almost virtually diagonal. We do have here, I like this play, by the way. It's an interesting play, but Metal Dream knows this treasure guard is here, and he hasn't killed it yet, so he's just going to take the free experience when he heads into the treasury to pick up a gold chest. Nim and Slimu got a chainmail out of Breckenary. And in the meantime, we've got a slight experience lead now for Wraithchild. I think they've decided they want to stay in this northwest zone. We see this Droll Magi here too. 55 experience. The Wyverns we've already talked about. So there's at least a couple of good enemies up here.
Yeah. Very valuable. Surf and Turf, meanwhile, mostly exploring, finding not a lot aside from Breckenary so far. Getting some chip experience on the way, though, at least.
Yeah, it looks like Nim has dead-ended this southeast corner, and then there's a little bit of a narrow peninsula that he's going to have to follow up here.
There's a cave there, I believe, for the first time.
Next level, both of our teams on level 9 right now. The next level is at 2,000, correct?
Yes, I believe so.
And I will say on this last level, level 9, even more strength. You see Dragolf on that strength build has 81. Everybody who's not on a strength build still has 75. See, the attack power is at least 115 across the board. And we saw Metal Dream stop spell and take out one of those blue dragons up here. So there's not really much in this zone that they can't kill right now, and oftentimes it will be one shot. There's a Rogue Scorpion as well. That said, Slamu in Mountain Cave, and Surf and Turf has actually done a really good job of keeping up on experience here, despite the fact that Wraithchild is in this dedicated grind, and has been for a bit.
Yeah. A lot of the overworld zones have a lot of good enemies, like these Wraith Knights. Well, that one does get a back attack, hurt more. But yeah, to put it into perspective, as we were saying, sometimes running HPMP can be really great because you don't have to... You basically, as long as you can find a Fairywater shop, you have that ability to just be able to have 134-ish AP. But right now, Dragolf is already dealing damage to the Dragon Lord too if you were fighting him.
Looks like Wraithchild will be the first to level 10. Yet more power, no agility. 8 hit points, 1 magic point, at least on Dragolf's build. Interestingly enough, the agility has remained somewhat suppressed. And we've obviously spec'd into strength today and decided that agility is the dump stat.
Yeah, it's certainly not exactly what you want to see right now. At this point, AP is potentially going to be well and away good, but you'd really like to be able to have some agility, especially since they know red dragons are out in the overworld. Obviously, it turns out not too prevalent, but they're out there.
Nim got to that cave that we saw on his screen a little bit earlier. It is Tablet, but unfortunately Slimu was ejected from Mountain Cave by a Wraith Knight. We were just talking about that agility as Slimu was getting run blocked 3 or 4 times by that Wraith Knight and sent back. So that's really unfortunate. Just didn't quite have enough juice to get through there in total. Now we'll see what they decide to do about that. But Slimu, interestingly, has found an Axe Knight, and it's a hurt Axe Knight. And when you have the kind of attack power Outrunners do, you like to see that.
So what you're saying is the Wraith Knight is helping Wraithchild.
Yeah, I think they're on the same team. I think that's how that works.
Man.
Yeah.
So then making it back to Breckenary, which is apparently really close to that Cave of Tablet, and we'll continue on from there.
And Wraithchild seems totally content to stay in this zone. I think this Wyvern will get them close to... Yeah, it's very close to level 11. So there is a little bit of an experience gap separation now, but of course we've seen Surf and Turf collect a couple of more locations than Wraithchild has. Wraithchild really hasn't left this segment of the map.
Yeah, the experience lead isn't that big so far. Finding a good grind that's even better than this, like a spike tile, for instance, could really even it out. This wizard could help too. Wizards are often really good, but the back attack makes it unfeasible. Nim does manage to get away from it there. The main issue is just not being able to fully clear Mountain Cave is a bit rough. That said, Slimu has now found a different cave, I believe. Or was Mountain Cave the first one?
I'm not 100% sure. We might get another look at it here in a second. I will say the stats, at least at the moment, are actually kind of approximate go for what you would expect for co-op. The main problem right now is no heal more yet, and that's apparently what is going to keep Dragolf anchored to this zone while Metal Dream heads out to explore a little bit.
Yeah, no heal more. The agility is also a bit rough at this MP value.
Yeah.
And the HP also isn't high either, which is a bit of a bummer when the agility is also low. But it is technically feasible.
Technically feasible. There is Nim and Rim.
Slimu, I believe, finding a Green Dragon Treasure Guard, but not having great luck against it so far.
Yeah, it does have Hurt More as well. He did manage to stop spell it, and he's going to try to play for an opportunity to swing here. Or I guess reset the fight, which also is a good idea. Does have 86 maximum hit points right now, so if you can get first move here and land the stop spell, it would go a lot better for you. But yeah, he's gonna miss the stop spell this time. Land it that time, and of course the green swings.
The rub is it doesn't seem to be too high of a chance, and at this agility, odds of back attack are kind of rough. Meanwhile, Nim sent home.
That said, only a 2-swing combat there, oftentimes at this attack power value. Slimu's going to pick up the Stones of Sunlight, so that's our first quest item off the board. And I think he is in... let's see. I want to see where he was. Is this Grave? I'm pretty sure Grave, right? This is the chest that is on the very westernmost side of Grave, at the end of the long passage.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Wraithchild has finally set out and is immediately rewarded with a red dragon. We'll try to take it on, though, actually.
Yeah,
given the amount of times we've
might
seen...
be able to race this down. Now, granted, Wraithchild no defense right now. No defensive gear. 25 defense, but he was still able to beat a red dragon in a race. Just 3 swings and done. So that'll actually be level 12. No heal more yet. That's the most material thing, the thing we're most looking for. Some agility would be nice as well. Bonus magic points, always welcome also. But yeah, Metal Dream I think is kind of in the northwest of this map right now, and Dragolf appears to be headed the same way that Nim went on Nim's first Explorer trip.
Yeah, both teams doing a very good job being able to split up the exploration. That's a really good key thing in co-op, because obviously exploring the same area your partner is functionally doesn't help.
Very often not, although we have seen a swap here on Surf and Turf side. We saw Slamu sent out of Mountain Cave earlier, and now Nim has followed on. He was in the neighborhood, so he's going to take his trip into Mountain Cave, while Slamu continues to dig out Grave, it looks like. Nim will get to this first chest. Looks like Metal Dream also in Mountain Cave simultaneously. We'll see if there was anything on the second floor or not.
First chest Nim checked on the second floor was a cursed belt, so nothing important except for information, but that can be really useful.
Yeah, we haven't seen any of our search spot towns yet. Cole, Cantlin, Hawksness, all still out there.
One downside to this level, in addition to not having heal more for either of our teams, neither team also has Radiant, which is actually super useful in diving with random chest locations.
Yeah, a little bit more walking required. It'll add to your step counter at the end of this one if you don't have Radiant when you're searching these alternate chest locations. But at this point, I think this makes a lot of sense, as demonstrated by the fact that these are the top 2 times for the week. That these teams are in just dead explore mode, because you know that any level basically can make you go. If you pick up heal more, you would like to have, as you said, a little bit more agility, some more hit point, some more magic points would cover that as well before you start diving this one. But yeah, it's time is of the essence here to find all of the things.
Meanwhile, Slamu trying to sabotage Nim a little bit by selling the chainmail for a leather armor, but thinks better of it.
You might have, at some times, a way that you can recoup some money if you sell a more expensive piece of gear for a less expensive piece of gear, and then you'll have enough to buy whatever the thing is that you want. They do have.
I also think I recall one seed where I actually sold the armor in the town that it was in so that you could die in swamp. So you know there are some fringe cases.
Yeah, exactly. Silver Harp in Coal, there was a treasure guard there, but it got wiped out so quickly that I did not actually determine what it was.
You wouldn't really see it anyway. It was a demon knight.
Oh, so it was, I see why I didn't see it now. It just wasn't.
Yeah.
It didn't look like it was there.
Slamu, meanwhile, takes a step out to presumably continue exploration, gets back attacked by a red dragon, and that, unless he gets he gets the runoff.
That's pretty important right now. He has a little bit more territory over here to explore near Coal. And so that might end up being pretty big. Let's see if there's anything over here. Slamu evidently knew about this stop spell hurt armored knight, which did not, it rolled down a little bit, but that's a free fight, so that's a good one to take if you see it.
The thing to keep in mind is with random consistent stats, or rewards, I shall say, for fights, the game doesn't have to give you anything good to fight. So sometimes a free fight, it could be just as good as any other encounter you'll see across the entire seed. Meanwhile, speaking of seeing things, Slamu also spots Jerk Cave up here north of Coal. But there continues to be a bit more to explore.
There's a lot of sort of thin passages on this overworld map. We've seen it on the East Coast, we've seen it now here too, where you just kind of have to go this It's a fairly long passage and then explore. There's bridges off of it or what have you. So the screen Nim is on right now, there's just a chain of islands down here linked together by bridges.
Seems very open for a seed that started off very closed and in a corner. Dragolf finding Rim, which I believe we already know has nothing, but potentially some gear.
I think this was fairy water, yeah. But in any event, a good find here for Dragolf was running a little bit low on resources, so having the inn is good. We do see there's a little bit of separation on the experience now, about 1,400. Wraithchild has the lead there. But of course, Surf and Turf has a little bit of an explore advantage. And even more of one now. Sorry about that, Nim in Hawksness.
The good news for them, not only with this Hawksness find, could catch them up really quickly depending on the spike tile, but the good news is they're so close to go level that Wraithchild does run the danger of maybe overgrinding. But obviously, with this amount of agility, you can't run from a lot of these fights anyway, so you've got to just take them no matter what.
Yeah. So I guess it all hinges on when Healmore shows up. One thing that you are seeing here on level 13, that is when Radiant appeared in our spell list. And so Metal Dream has the Radiant up as he explores Grave, which will ostensibly make this go a little bit faster.
Wouldn't be surprised, considering I believe they've also seen Mountain Cave by now, to see a full dive. That said, Dragolf does get sent home by something, so
yeah, so
we'll have to reset his Explore.
Yeah. This is the... Is that the Death Necklace there at the... in the vanilla triple chest spot in Grave?
I do believe it was.
Somewhat rare that comes into play in co-op, but you never know. You might want to sell that for some fairy water at the end or something too. That can sometimes play. It looks like Metal Dream is just going to leave, though. He's headed back toward the steps.
Ooh, a very potentially key crit for Nim. Might not have beaten that Stone Man without it, and it will get him the token. So I believe they have all 3 trading items now.
Yes, they do. All 3 trade items for Surf and Turf, and I believe, unless I'm mistaken, no trade-in items yet for Wraithchild?
No, they do have the stones.
They do have the stone, that's right. Those were in...
Treasury, I believe?
Treasury, yeah. That was...
No, sword was in Treasury. Stones was somewhere.
I'm not sure it's important. Fairy Flute for Dragolf here at the top of Swamp Cave. I don't think we've seen second Kana yet.
The flute can actually be a bit more consequential in this flag set. There's mostly because there's really no downside to turning it down. Meanwhile, we have the spike tile being a red dragon, which is really intriguing.
Good opening a swing there for Dragolf in that one. I'm not entirely sure that he needed the follow-up crit. He probably would have won that race anyway, but a back attack always puts you a little bit of danger here without Healmore. He'll need a couple of good swings on this one. He's gotten it.
Meanwhile,
there it is here. They do have level 14 in Healmore now.
Yeah. Meanwhile, on the right side, a lot of really good timing there. Just after Nim managed to get the last trading item, Slamu was nearby Dirt Cave. So they just managed to get their return in really quickly. That said, now they'll be getting a different type of return in, because immediately after the trades are done, they both get taken out by red dragons.
I will say this becomes very interesting. Wraithchild has some more explore to do. They are, by strict technical definitions, go. Because they do have Healmore now. They have, over 100 hit points, well over 100 hit points, as well as more than... I think Metal Dream has 11 Healmores. The problem is that agility is still pretty low. So while you can dive here, if you get yourself some extra cover with some MP or some... for all we know, Dragolf's trending toward a point where he'd just be able to win without Fairy Water. Just a little bit more resources. So yeah, he's got 138 attack power. I say might be. That's actually well within that range. You're doing better than fairy water damage on 138, so...
You could see that consideration came to both of them as well. There was a brief stat check, and then Dragoff immediately abandoned the grind afterwards.
Yeah, pretty good grind, but yeah, still got a couple things to find. So now, Nim and Slamu, about 250 away from level 14 and that all-important Heal More spell. They already have their Rainbow Drop. Really is just a matter of seeing what they're going to do next here, and at what level they might try give an attempt here. Neither of them are running a strength build, so they would be, kind of in fairy water mode. But that said, I think they'll have 12 heal mores, so on level 14. So yeah, you certainly can think about it if you think you're ready.
The one thing we haven't really considered in all this talk of go level is nobody has the armor yet.
That is true.
I believe nobody is Deep Dove Grave yet. Hawksness is clear though. Cole is clear, so it's just Overworld Spot and potentially maybe Deep Grave to go.
I think Slamu. I'm trying to remember if Slamu dove Grave at all. I can't quite recall. I know he was in Grave for a bit. Yeah, but we do need that armor. You would expect to see both teams clear the overworld before they make an attempt on Charlock, because the random chest locations in Charlock mean that it is likely to be on the bottom floor, but it could be a bunch of kind of off-the-wall places that you might not usually see.
Yeah, you can. It can be in either of the side staircases at the top. It can be on the choice floor, on at least one Nexus floor before then. It's just a lot of MP draining. Never mind the fact that the agility is still not great for wanting to go that far through Charlock. So
right. Level 15 is within a potential encounter here for Wraithchild, as Dragolf heads to get the coordinates, and there are no overworld coordinates, so that takes that off the board. Looks like our last check on their side. I'm not sure if they've seen a couple of the single check locations. I'm not sure if anybody's seen the Stones of Sunlight cave yet, unless I'm mistaken.
Yeah, I don't know that I've seen Freebie Cave either on either of their screens. Yeah. Tablet, though, is out. Mountain Cave is out. Obviously, it may not be out for both the teams, but at least collective knowledge.
Yes.
Speaking of collective knowledge, I love the chat currently going deep into this. A bunch of the racers from various teams talking about their experiences and losing things in this flag, in this seed.
Yeah. Yep. No comment on that part.
Yeah. Better not have a comment.
Wraithchild has picked up level 15 here. That does bring a hurt more and a little bit more in terms of stats. You see the agility for Metal Dream is now at 62. So, that's a little bit more passable. He's also bumped that total up. Doesn't have quite 13 heal mores yet, but is within striking distance of that if they decide to continue to fight here.
Yeah, in addition to that, they've also now found Hawksness, which I believe had the token. So,
right.
Once they clear this, they'll be down potentially to just Grave, although again, we don't know. Well, Grave and Freebie Cave, but as more locations get cleared off the board, I wouldn't be surprised to see someone take the dip into Grave.
And Dragolf easily dispatches the spike. Now Wraithchild has all 3 quest items.
One thing we haven't really noticed is while we were talking, the experience gap has mostly closed. I believe Serpent are about to get it with this kill.
Well, it's about 1,000, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, 109 to 99. But it has closed significantly from where it was. We get an obligatory radish check here from Slamu.
So really now I think this is just kind of trending to who can find the armor and what go level the teams decide on, because the go level is still potentially dangerous if you don't like low agility. Meanwhile, Dragoff finding Garanham. Have we actually seen Garanham before now?
I'm not 100% sure that we have, and if that's the case, that would mean that Stones has to be under here, right?
I believe so, and yeah, it looks like Dragoff is checking these chests and
That is a
finds
treasure guard. That has to be the armor.
The only thing available left.
Yeah, gets the hurt more often than lands a crit, because that was totally necessary.
Oh no!
Wait, hang.
I think he took the fight, killed it, and then. Oh no!
Oh, is it? Oh.
Oh no!
Well, I mean, it can't have gone. I mean, oh no!
Oh no!
Well, okay, that just threw a wrench in the works. I think Wraithchild was ready to be gone there, and then
just realized.
I think maybe it's possibly dawning on them what's happening as Metal Dream trades the staff in the back of Tanagel. Dragoff's headed out again, and that armor's just sitting there unopened. Oh goodness!
I think that was probably a realization, because there was a return and then immediate check of the stats, and there hasn't been a level recently. I think that was just a wait.
Oh boy.
What's the gear currently at?
Yeah.
Or maybe not, because Dragoff is going into
Dragoff's going into the Swamp Cave.
Yeah. And there's really no reason to do this unless it gets you closer to Garanham, I feel.
So this is interesting now, because Nim is in Garanham on Surf and Turf side, so Nim has just has to top off here and check that chest. I wonder how far this is. I don't quite remember where Garanham is on this map, I admit.
I never remember anything, so this is going to be an experience. That said, I think Dragoff is probably headed right for it.
I would think so.
Oh, there town is on the screen right there. I think that's Garanham.
Yeah. Or no, it's Cantlin.
No, it's Cantlin.
Okay. Well, this is now
Key-Buy, probably. I think
that's potentially what this is. So that is the chest. It is armor. So Nim picks up the armor. It gives this a think himself, and Surf and Turf realize, I think, that they do not need to be there anymore. Exploration is done. They have both Erdrick's things. They have all of the stuff and the Rainbow Drop. So if they know where Charlock is, they can head over there if they want to, if they think their level is good enough.
Speaking of not needing to be there for a little bit, I think Dragoff was deciding that NPC didn't need to be there. Got blocked from the key shop for a good 10 seconds.
Yeah, does not feel good. Although I guess it kind of came out in the wash a little bit. Nim was trapped in the Tanagel treasury for a minute. Not a literal minute, but a figurative minute earlier in the seed. Dragoff has re-entered Garanham, so I think they have realized what has happened here, if not a while ago, realized what happened. But Dragoff doesn't have to beat the treasure guard a second time. He can just pick this up. Gets the armor, so now both of our teams on equal footing. And it's just a matter of whether or not they decide to take more levels, or if they're just going to head straight into Charlock.
Well, Slamu and Nim have collectively run from a Wraith Knight, a Stone Man, and, well, an attempted run from a Red Dragon, though it doesn't let them get away, and the drop is going down. So I think they are satisfied with 15.
Yeah, and I think 15 is definitely doable. If you both decide to dive it, you can kind of mitigate the risks of a potentially bad Charlock a little bit, but certainly 58 agility, less than you would like to see. That said, you have a little bit of cover in terms of your hit points and magic points, which are both reasonably decent. If you want to take on the Dragon Lord with Fairy Water, that DL2 fight usually insists upon 80 magic points. So if you have 10 heal mores, you're usually okay. You would love to get a double in there if you can, and they certainly have enough hit points to do that, even with the defense as poor as it is. But that's kind of what we're looking at here, and Nim is on his first dive, there are reds in the first zone, and he is getting seriously jammed up. He has already already spent 2 heal mores.
I think he's pretty much decided this dive may not be it. Potentially is switch to fighting that one. Yep, there's another heal more down. Now we're just gonna pace around a little bit, potentially deciding to leave and not sure which direction will be the fastest, because he's basically midway point between just using the stairs or leaving normally. Meanwhile, Metal Dream also in Sharlock, nearly tied with Slamu.
So if the goal here is, I do see continued fights on Wraithchild's side. So they're pressing on. The next level does arrive at 13,000 experience points. That'll be 16. So if both teams are intent at this point upon taking another level, it looks like Nim's going to fight, and it looks like Slamu's going to continue his dive. So he's down a heal more, but he's going to continue on here, just try to get through Zone 1 and see what else Charlock has on offer. But it looks like Wraithchild is determined to get 16 here and see if there's a boost. MP is your biggest cover here. You can get some more MP, you can get some more agility, you're going to feel a lot better about this dive.
Yeah, the only downside on Wraithchild's side is Dragolf is the one with the higher AP, so if you had someone diving Sharlock hoping to get some stat gains, it would probably be Dragolf. So a bit unfortunate there. That said, the level comes in, and it's some gains, nothing major, but a little bit of everything it looked like.
And it looks like Dragolf's on his way over toward Charlock as well, so they might have just said, you know what, we're gonna take 16 here, although Metal Dream takes out that Stone Man.
Meanwhile, Slamu taking on the Armored Knights, considering what they have, very free enemy. No real reason not to take it on, especially this agility.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell on average. You can certainly pick up some hedge experience from them without costing yourself anything, but maybe, potentially a couple of seconds over run chances, but even then you can easily get blocked enough times that it's going to outstrip the time that you would save from just killing it outright, especially where the attack power is, even on the non-strength builds.
Meanwhile, Dragolf has decided to start running from the Red Dragons. Unfortunately, though, down to, I believe, 2 or 3 herbs already, not even through the top floor yet.
Yeah, it does have all of his MP, and he will not quite need as much here. 134 hit points, even with the defense where it is, you would still potentially expect to get some doubles in the DL2 fight, and that means Dragolf probably does not need even the 80 that you would need in a Bucket Brigade scenario in order to finish this off. But as it happens, Slamu is on the bottom floor. Surf and Turf has level 16, which, as you said, did give some gains. It did bump us up to 13 heal mores. But, of course, that extra MP not available to the runners that are already in Charlock. So Slamu will have the 10 heal mores we talked about earlier for your expected fairy water fight. And he has 5 spare MP after that, but 134 hit points now on level 16. So I think if you're going into this, if you manage to keep all of your heal mores, you feel pretty good about it, and you might even consider taking this fight on 9 heal mores if you felt you needed to. A little bit of heal walk here, probably the best possible spike tile you could have hoped for.
That said, there's a swing there, but there's the stop spell coming in.
Yeah, this Armored Knight... Oh, wow, I expected it to go down in that swing, but it did not. It must have been close to max HP. So Slamu is through the spike, does take advantage of that spare MP, has to cast heal, and he'll get to the Dragon Lord with 10 heal mores and full hit points.
No, out of no healing in this fight, I should say.
Didn't need it. 2 swings. Look at that.
Very nice.
That's a pretty clutch kill there, and he is going to have 112 going in with no back attack, and he's going to start firing some fairy water. Now he is on the verge of just sort of being able to swing here, but I think Nim's on his way probably to hit a fairy water shot. There is one left in Surf and Turf's inventory, and as we speak, Dragolf rounding the 12 o'clock position on the final floor.
The one dangerous thing is you got to keep in mind the Dragon Lord can hit everyone but Dragolf for 53 in melee.
Yes, 53 melee, which is not something that you often see, but the defense is that bad on account of the agility. So something to keep an eye on at least. Dragolf, meanwhile, on that strength build, has, I think, all of his magic points. He managed to make this dive without spending anything. He has 93 on his non-MP build.
Wow.
He can just fight here without fairy water. So Metal Dream's going to stay on this red dragon, while Slamu and Dragolf take on the Dragon Lord. Slamu thinking about it here on 50.
Point.
Yeah, good job pointing that out earlier. You've got the 50 there, and he decides to go ahead and heal more. I think that's probably a good idea here. I haven't been counting his fight, but now on 51, he is going to go ahead and throw. So this is a potential danger, but he does get a breath. When you see that, you kind of breathe your own sigh of relief.
Oh, but a bad heal more.
49. He's going to take it.
49.
Yeah, so he thinks he's either on, just barely on pace or behind here. He's going to take that 102.
Luckily, all the times he has taken the risk, he has seen that breath coming. Dragolf, meanwhile, into the DL2 fight pretty well himself. So if Slamu doesn't get it, but Nim is setting up under the assumption that he is.
Yeah, Nim's right at the edge of the finish line here, and with perhaps 2 attacks left. Maybe 1. Slamu does take out the Dragon Lord. So Surf and Turf is going to have the first place time in round 1 as Nim finishes that off and Dragolf continues swinging through. I'll be interested to see here. It seems like Dragolf's fight is going really well. That was a double, if I'm not mistaken, on that one. So he's probably going to have some spare MP left here on his very big attack power.
Yeah, considering the attack power, I'd say at least 2 heal mores left, it feels like, maybe.
Yeah, he's landed a couple 19s, I think. Yeah, wow.
Forget
that 3 heal mores left. And a swing besides, perhaps. So, everybody, please, if you haven't done so already, get your GGs out in chat for both of our teams here in round 1. Surf and Turf taking the first place spot. Wraithchild taking the second place spot. You see there the respective times, 46:11 officially for Surf and Turf, 46:48 for Wraithchild.
An exceedingly odd seed with the sky-high AP value early.
It really was. That's something you don't see in co-op very often, is just flat swinging, even when a runner is using a strength build, which you'll often see, kind of a split or something of that nature. You really just won't end up using anything other than those bucket brigade strats that will kind of usually get there first. But yeah, the strength was through the roof on this one after that 34 strength gain pretty early in the seed. And so just kind of end up in that situation sometimes. I think a lot of the teams this week actually ended up finishing, if they were running, someone had a strength HP build, they ended up finishing without using the fairy water. You could just go down and swim away. So there
meanwhile, a very important question in chat, Aaron22 noticing the most important thing in co-op. The woman in Tanagel, after the Dragon Lord is defeated, for some reason transforms into Princess Gwaelin. Sometimes into a weird amalgamation of Princess Gwaelin with a different hair color even. And just starts, walking around.
Just walking
pretty
around.
Weird.
Yep. What are you going to do?
Technically, I don't believe that's a co-op only thing, but it's something you only actually see in co-op, I would assume.
Yes, yeah. Well, let's take a look here. I'm going to go ahead and transition us away from this and over to the rest of our round 1 results. As soon as I click a couple things.
While Archfield remembers how to click things, please remember to follow the runners if you can. And I believe the trackers and so forth might be changing up. So thank you for Cyberdark, RG365, and Dr. Moocows for helping out with the stream.
100%. So here we go. This is your round 1 results. There you see your top 2 times, Surf and Turf and Wraithchild. Very close behind Oog and RG, followed by the Can-Am Surprise. Racefast, Safe Car, Distorious Duo, Murderbat Coastlines, The Nightmare Ninjas, and Moody Two Hooves. So that's your full list of round 1 results. We're going to take a pause here for just a little bit to reset the stream and get set for the second one here. Round 2 is a very special one. It is a spoiler log seed, so this will be some routed racing action. Don't go anywhere, round 2 is coming up next.